Hello and welcome to another ALTTP Talent Cup match here on VSR. It's a quarterfinal matchup between WGarrison and MrScruffNinjaTuna. This should be a good one. We've got ZeldaSpeedRuns and the NDM on commentary. How are you two doing?
Doing well this evening, VXR. Thank you for the intro. I am my NDM. I am joined alongside by my good buddy ZeldaSpeedRuns, and we are going to bring this match to you this evening.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm expecting it to be pretty good.
Once you get to the quarterfinals, you are down to people who, by and large, won their groups, defeated quite a few people on the way here. They had to win through 3 rounds of brackets to make it this far, so, maybe a little lucky, but you still got to be good, too.
Do we have any predictions going? I'm wondering what we're going to get to start with.
Starting weapons is always fun, and up to this point I've always been saying something like the hammer or the bow, where, it's reasonably quick, but you also get some indication of the runner's execution with weapons that are not just the regular old-fashioned sword. But now that we're into the quarterfinals, you start hoping for things that are maybe a little trollier. Maybe now we start hoping to see some bomb starts, some burna starts, those kind of things.
I might be in the minority on this, but I like the burna starts. But bombs, no, I hate bombs.
I know some runners who really like the bomb start, because that way, as long as you can hold on to one of them into the back of escape, you don't have to worry about farming for them.
Well, let's see if they get any help too, because I've had so many seeds recently where you get your starting item and then you get another weapon right away afterwards.
That does seem to be a little bit of a feature of the standard mode every once in a while, doesn't it? And that was an exceedingly quick map check. It looks like our tracker is the only one who caught any of it, and there's a red crystal there on Tower of Hera.
Oh, well, we got a bow start.
Bow start's nice. You get plenty of ammunition so you can farm right on through the prize packs, unless the rat is particularly devilish. There's not really a whole lot of trouble here.
Oh, and I can hear the Agaseed comments starting already.
Yes, sometimes the seed just says bright and early, start thinking about Aga boys, because you have the cape. Of course, once that happens, you start thinking, okay, well, maybe in one of these first couple of chests in the castle proper, I'm just going to find a sword.
Oh, that is the dream.
Speaking of using those arrows to check prize packs, Garrison has already seen a drop, and the guards are in the bomb pool.
That's always a good feeling. You don't feel as stressed once you have, 3-4 bombs, so you can go do Kakariko as well.
And it's relatively easy. There are a few guards that you do have to slay along the way anyway, so, you kind of hope that a couple of more bombs pop out and you're not worried about, well, you know what, I only got the one. Where are the rest of my bombs for the village coming from?
Then you either got to try the well or blind sight and hope that you pick right.
Either that or that you've seen some cash by then and you can just kind of make your merry way along and buy your own bombs. It appears that Mr. Scruff has also now seen the guards in the bomb pack, has finally gotten a drop there, and has picked up his first bomb, so neither of our runners going to be missing whatever's in the back of the escape sequence today. And we are seeing a bit of what I was talking about, where sometimes the arrow's powerful enough, but you run into situations where the guards are not quite where you want them to be, and, you get to see a little of how does the runner in question deal with the bow, which is not something that you use as a primary weapon in a lot of situations.
No, not too often. And I do have to say, I love how the Goomba sprite carries pots. I just noticed that.
Yeah, a lot of the Goomba sprite animations are really entertaining. Well, of course, we have Garrison playing as one flavor of Link or another. So while they're walking back through here, I should say that this is a matchup of the overall winner of Group X, Garrison, and the overall winner of Group G in MrScruffNinjaTuna. Both of them have taken a couple of losses on their way to this quarterfinal matchup, but, you know, they managed to achieve 2 wins against everybody they faced thus far. I do in fact have the names if we get to a point here where we don't want to talk about pumping for the next minute and a half.
Oh, I love talking about pumping. It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's the NMG special, isn't it? But here we are. It looks like Garrison wanted to take a snake or two there, try to get some additional bombs. MrScruffNinjaTuna did get one additional bomb there.
Yeah, the drop pool is not being too generous so far.
Yeah, not to either of them, although, you know, at least they're looking at a situation where they have one backup bomb in case a rat decides to come and body them while they're trying to throw the first one against the wall down here.
Oh no, Seattle Rat!
The one rat almost took the hit for the other one, but managed to get away, and there's Garrison, thankful all of a sudden that the bomb there... Oh, but he sees that the rats are in the high-value pool. And then he's going to get bailed out with some bombs here.
And both runners electing to go back through the hole that they already blew up instead of going through the top.
A little more surprising in MrScruffNinjatuna's case, being that he was at 5, 4 is more than enough to get through the village. While I can understand Garrison thinking, I've got 3 bombs, there are 3 bombs that I need in the village proper, maybe I just want to hang on to those. But we do have nearly simultaneous exits into the sanctuary, raiding the poor box for a whole 10 sticks. Wonder what mischievous child put those there. We see Scruff with a little target of opportunity is far enough into the guard's bomb pack that he's seen the 4 bomb drop now. And our runners are just going to follow right along in sync here, not going to get an early lumberjack check. Garrison seeing that tier 2 tree pull, just the small sticks.
Well, we have our first divergence.
A very, very mild one. And speaking of those agonoises, we have a sword to go with that cape.
Now we just need that lamp and we're all good to go.
Yeah, sure, early Agar Rush, why not? What could possibly go wrong? All of a sudden, Scruff's luck does seem to have turned a little bit on those bombs, managed to get all the way up to 10, while Garrison's still on those 3 that he walked out of the escape sequence with.
Well, we got flippers and Zoro money now.
That's at least a few more things you can do before you just fall back on that aga play. And of course, Blue Mail, always a nice early game safety, still sitting on 3 hearts now, you know, with no pieces of the actual Dark World access puzzle yet. It's not like you're entirely concerned about what am I going to do when I start taking hits in the Dark World and everything's doing 2 hearts. But, you know, the crabs are a thing.
Oh, and we just got Moon Pearl and Lamp. Yep.
Ah, the Go Do Aga care package complete before 9 minutes. So, who's feeling the early spicy aga dive? I have to expect that both of these runners are at least going to go over, have the look at South Shore with that bow in hand, go over, at least have the look in the eastern area. Green Pendant, maybe you want to do that early on if you're still trying to avoid the aga play?
Well, now that they've got gloves, in this situation, I think I would do the Green Pendant Eastern, just hoping to find something.
Maybe you find second glove, maybe you've got a hammer on Green Pendant, something like that. There are options, and it'll be interesting to see if we're going to get any divergence between the two runners, if it'll just be a regular old-fashioned book South Shore play from both of them, or if one of them wants to feel a little dangerous and go over to Eastern first. It is, after all, the quarterfinals, and, you know, well, my opponent was good enough to get here too. Do I need to make a few extra gambles here to eke out a victory? I see Tabby there in chat. Yes, all of our routing is always dangerous. It's just a matter of which gambles actually pay off.
I used to be more inclined to going to Eastern before South Shore, but I've been burned on Boots and Mini Moldorm Cave too many times.
I really feel like there is some truth to that, and maybe, you know, that's just my human brain trying to pattern match, but I do feel like I see Boots in Mini Moldorm Cave a little more often than you would expect from actual randomization.
I mean, that's the true Hype Cave, in my opinion.
It tends to be. It's one of those early kind of Sphere 1 locations with a high density, so... Both of our runners want that 50, and neither of them wants to head to Agena. We have plays over to Mini Moldorm Cave on both screens. Again, it's entirely justifiable.
You've got your flippers, you've got the money. Yeah, I think you can sometimes accidentally orphan something in that cave, but I think that this is a good play.
Especially when you already have one form of Dark World access, you know, the aga play is available anytime you want to make it. How likely is it that that one location over there in that cave in the desert actually has your last piece of Dark World access? And the answer is, of course, more likely than you might think.
Oh, and Scruff choosing to swim to Ice Rock Cave.
Swimming is, in fact, a little faster than walking as long as you manage it properly, and when you have the real flippers, you don't have to worry about the instant death, so there is that. Garrison getting a little bullied by the crab there, of course. If they did not have the blue mail, the 2 hearts of damage would have come out, and that would have been the end of the trip, but safety is there for a reason. And it looks like both of our runners have exactly the same idea yet again. We're going to leave Ice Rod Cave. We're going to make these flipper checks. Once again, density, density.
And they're both being very safe. You know, they're not skipping anything so far.
There is certainly a mindset amongst runners, and I'm one of them, that I don't want to skip something early because the punishment for leaving something behind in Sphere 1 is just that severe. If I'm going to make skips, I'm going to try to make the more intelligent skips later based on the items that I've already gotten. And at least so far, it seems to be that that's what the runners have in mind. I don't want to get punished by Sphere 1 because I feel like maybe my opponent is going to make all of these checks as well. Of course, a lot of these checks have just not really been coming up with a great deal of anything.
No, just money so far.
Money, money, and more money. Let's see if Waterfall Fairy has anything to break up the monotony of all the red 20s.
Nope, not yet.
Nope, not in the slightest. And of course, at this point, a runner has to be thinking, okay, game, you gave me these flippers, and you've given me a red 20, a red 20, and a red 20. What's going on here?
Well, the game doesn't account for money in the Zora logic, as far as I know.
And it also gave them the glove, so, you know, the flipper is not necessarily your logical access to this area anyway.
And another life lesson.
So at this point, it's really safe to say that whether or not one of those flipper dungeons in the Dark World is a pendant, the game has handed you these flippers for something. And you should probably be listening.
Well, it seems both runners are going to be going to Eastern.
Reasonably unsurprising, with the glove and the lamp, there are a couple of in-logic items they can receive up on the mountain and sight check one more, but why not go here first and see if a hookshot or a lamp shows up? Or, not a lamp, a mirror. Or, you know, literacy to let you into Desert Palace. Not that you really want to be in Pendant Desert Palace at this point in your life, but you're starting to run a little low on locations.
It'll be nice to check Ether, too, when they go to Tower of Hera. That's one that can get frequently orphaned.
That can be a tough one to route in if you did not have the book on your first trip up there, especially if you wind up in a weird situation where you do have the hammer as well as the glove, and you can go ahead and do Spike Cave. Then it's just kind of hanging out there on the western side of the mountain all by its lonesome. I see that Tabby, a little bit of a MrScruffNinjaTuna partisan here, has questions about the routing choice of going to Saha's Closet before completing the Green Pendant dungeon in Eastern.
I mean, yeah, especially when you have the glove. It is faster to just go into the dungeon if you're going to complete it.
At this point, if you have on mind that you're going to clear it anyway, clearing it first makes a lot of sense. You save one trip back over there to Saha and you get all 4 items in one go.
chat asking if Scruff skipped Cannonball Chest. I believe he got it, and it was the big key.
It's certainly not going to be a God Eastern, though, since we saw the compass there in that second chest, but with the lamp, it's all in logic anyway, so it's just a matter of not getting to skip the vanilla big key location.
Oh, and Scruff choosing to skip the big key chest.
This is something that runners like to do, although when you're in this particular position, I'm not sure that I like it quite as much. Looking for a piece of Dark World access to skip around the Agaplay, because otherwise you're going to loop all the way back through Eastern, or, you know, just bite the bullet and do the Agaplay.
And it's a good minute and a half to come back and check that room.
Essentially what MrScruffNinjaTuna is doing here is saying, this is the hill I will die on. If my progression piece is in there, I am okay last locating it.
Scruff having some issues with the Igors.
I think we've all had issues with those Igors every once in a while, haven't we? And we see the map there on Garrison's side, so Scruff is going to get a little bailed out here on this play, and it is the second sword, the seed pointing ever more strongly that your Dark World access is through Aghanim. Two swords, a lamp, a cape. Here you go. We have another sword on green pendant, perhaps? And whether we do or not, how much do you really want to go and take that book and check into the front of Pendant Desert beforehand?
Ice Rod on green pendant turn in. That could be useful.
Could be valuable. We only have one pendant dungeon in the Dark World, so the likelihood that Turtle Rock is a requirement today is very high. And it looks like, having made that one skip, that Mr. Scruff is going to go ahead and go to that desert area. Still has a Gina, of course.
WGarrison not quite getting the quick kill, but doing pretty well on the Armos Knights.
Yeah, he did clean that up nicely, managed to intentionally jog just a little to the right to not expend an extra arrow on the Armos Knight that was about to turn red. So, Garrison's going to go ahead and get the questionable news about this Ice Rod, while MrScruffNinjaTuna is on into the front of Desert Palace. It's entirely possible that we're going to find out in about 2 seconds that we're boots locked here. And oh yes we are. Interesting choice. He's not going to go steal the key, he's just going to leave that one alone, going to jump out to the right hand side here and make the Agina check. I see you there in chat saying in before boots in Agina. It is entirely possible. But no, in this case it is just the blue boomerang. I know there are plenty of boomerang partisans on all sides of that debate. Personally, my preference is the iron one with the chain attached that goes boyoyon in the vanilla text. Garrison's about to get that bad news as well. MrScruffNinjaTuna, seeing that our stun prize today, our first chance to check that, is just the single rupee. Not going to make anybody's life easier. And as he heads in a generally mountainwardly direction, also going to stop off and show us the lumberjack.
Oh, but it's just a rupee hoard.
A lot of money, but Zora's already been paid off, the bottle vendor's already been paid off, unless you need to pick up the big bomb, this 324 that Mr. Scruff has and the 368 that Garrison has, really ought to see them through the rest of this seed. So we're coming up on these last couple of checks here, just 2 more items that our runners can actually get to try to stave off the Aga play. The seed has been shouting Aga at them for quite some time now.
But with only needing 1 item to get Dark World access, I can't blame them for trying to put off Aga as long as they can.
The worst feeling in the world would be to make the Aga play and then come up here later and see inside Spectacle Rock Cave is something like a hookshot that enables you to make 8 more checks on the mountain, or the hammer, or the other glove.
Oh, but it's just bombs today.
It looks like Mr. Scruff wants to drop into the Dark World really quick and get a map check in before he save and quits. This is smart. Our last pendant there at the Swamp Palace, a 5-6 at Ice.
Well, I bet they'll both be happy they've already got the ice rod.
Seems reasonably unsurprising that Turtle Rock was a crystal in this situation, but, you know, when you already have the ice rod, you're a little less worried about it. Unless you wind up with something like Fire Rod in Chain Chomp's room. The idea behind making that map check there, yes, you do spend a little time that maybe you wouldn't have had to otherwise, but it lets you think about it while you climb Aga Tower. Climbing Aga Tower once you're on Blue Mail Master Sword, not really a difficult exercise that requires a lot of thought, so you can start thinking about, okay, where do I want to go once I'm actually into the Dark World? Which dungeons do I want to prioritize?
I mean, right now it looks like they'll be forced into Pod, but you never know. You could find the hookshot on the Pyramid Ledge.
Hookshot on Pyramid Ledge would work. Hammer on Pyramid Ledge would work. You can go south with that, which I will admit that I've forgotten a time or two in my life.
Making a quick catfish dip would also be possible right now. That might be a good idea, just so you don't forget it.
I don't know that there's any way to make a quick catfish dip, but yes, it is certainly a play that you could make in this situation.
Quick mean a relative comparison, I should say.
That seems like the kind of thing that a lot of runners might consider more if they were missing the bow before going into Pod. I've definitely seen bow there, and then the next piece of progression afterwards just being in Bowlock Palace of Darkness. But when you're missing the hammer, that means the only thing that you're going to really miss out on in Palace of Darkness is the boss. A little less immediate of a concern, probably.
But with Eastern and Green Pendant already turned in, like, there's nothing really bringing you back here, so you can just do that in Go mode at the end of the seed.
Go mode pod sounds like a dream to me. I don't know that I've ever gotten to do it.
I'm sure it could happen, you know, on that magical seed where you get Pearl Go mode or something.
Or even better yet, the seed where both Eastern and Palace of Darkness are pendants and both of the bows are behind Ice Armos. I believe we have Garrison's audio going, and he said that he was going to use the Etrian Odyssey MSU. Garrison, having to play a little conservative here on a heart and a half, is down to 1 arrow. Well, Scruff is having an argument with the wizard and is boomeranging the wall because, well, you know, the fight is easy and you're bored and you're waiting a lot.
Egg has been kind so far. I've only seen 1 blue ball.
Oh, and Garrison has been bodied by the last blue guard before Aga.
That dude's a jerk.
I feel like even when I have boots, sometimes that particular guard just causes problems.
Oh, and an early temperance sword. That's a nice find.
Your reward for defeating the wizard? Have a sword upgrade.
Well, and it looks like Scruff is heading up to Catfish.
Seems to be of a mind with you. Joss going to go ahead and have this look before going to Palace of Darkness in case this allows him to do something else. So let's see what the second scam fish has in store for us today.
Oh, just another life lesson.
All the water checks coming up red rupees. And with that, we get the save and quit from Mr. Scruff, going to go back through the castle portal here, and, you know, all you have left is the Palace of Darkness, so here you go. Garrison taking things a little safer this time, going to put that blue boomerang to use to make sure that that guard does not get to knock him off of the ledge again. So clearly we're going to have to get something out of this Palace of Darkness play. What do you think we're actually going to see here?
I'm hoping for mushroom and shovel.
Ah, the true Schrodinger's items. Go back to the light world and turn these in and see what your actual next progression step is going to be. Ooh, I like that call. Vanilla Hammer could be a good one. I do tend to be in agreement with Tabby Cat, though. I feel like the seed giving you the flippers and then the hook shot is the thing. And yeah, we're bow locked in pod. Surprise, surprise.
I think Vanilla Hammer is almost my least favorite item to find vanilla. I think Fire Rod is probably my least favorite.
The cruelest trick that Rando plays on its runners is putting items in their vanilla dungeons. This is true. Vanilla Samaria in Pendant Mire is also a good ? One.
Although if TR is also a pendant in that seed, then, you know, it can stay there sometimes.
Seeing the shade thrown at Vanilla Fire Rod, Vanilla Hookshot, yep, you know, we're hearing the same things. Vanilla Bow in Eastern is also a thing that has tripped up plenty of runners in just the past week or so.
Yeah, I see WGarrison electing to skip Catfish. He's probably feeling pretty behind from his death already.
And knows that everything but the boss here is already available to him. It's simply a density play, and could also be thinking, well, if Scruff went here first, I can't leave whatever's here behind. I don't have more time to give up after that unfortunate, very late death in Agatower. Looks like the answer after that big key at the beginning is just small keys, as you would expect. You know, you have to find at least 4 small keys in the front of Palace of Darkness, so you're going to see quite a few of them. It can be as many as all 6, in fact, although that's a bit of a unicorn.
I have found that once. It surprised me.
Yeah. 4 key front you'll see all the time. 5 is uncommon, but you know, if you play enough rando, you're likely to see that every couple of weeks or so. But 6 key front? 6 key front is absolutely rare. And speaking of rare things that you're finding, MrScruffNinjaTuna pulling the hookshot out of the Vanilla Big Key location. Surprise, surprise.
Well, now we've got access to West Dark World. That's gotta feel good. Opens up a lot of checks.
West Dark World open now, also East Mountain if a runner was so inclined to go that direction, although with all of this Dark World availability at this point, I would think maybe we just hold on for a while, see if we don't find the second glove, and it can chain all of those mountain checks up together. Well, it may or may not be a Vanilla Hammer, but we're going to see a Vanilla Hammer Yump from Mr. Scruff here.
I mean, without the mirror, that's as good of the routing as you can do in the back here.
When you do already have that extra small key in hand, it'll let you get back to the front just a little bit quicker. Although, you know, if the hammer doesn't show up, maybe you're just wanting to save and quit out of the last chest anyway.
Oh, well, there's one fetch quest.
First bottle tucked away in the back of Palace of Darkness, why not? and a Quake medallion. So Mr. Scruff going to pick up a handful more rupees, and it's time for the save and quit. And no, he does not want West Dark World, he wants East Mountain.
Well, without the boots and no hammer and no fire rod, you wouldn't be able to full clear any of the dungeons. I can see this working out for him.
Yeah, it's certainly not a bad play by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, you know, there were two major schools of thought, and he's opted for this one. It'll be interesting to see if we actually get some real divergence by having Garrison go over to the West Dark World instead.
Chat bringing up a great question. Why are dead rocks?
Well, you see, when a developer and a developer have a really bad day,
And they want to take it out on somebody.
and they don't really think about the fact that it'll be taking it out on people 3 decades from then. That was a very heartfelt paradox cave. And Garrison save quits to the house, so this may in fact be the play over to West Dark World.
Oh, and I missed it. Where did Scruff pick up the red cane?
That had to have been Paradox, didn't it?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just had a brain fart.
One of those things that does not do a whole lot in the light world, but cracks the dark world right in half. And that was by far the best thing that Scruff found over there, so Garrison's in decent shape if he skips that for a while, but, you know, needs to be over in that direction before heading to Mire seems to be the way he would want things to work out. Mr. Scruff going to flipper on around this obstruction because, well, he can.
Maybe not the fastest way to West Dark World, but effective.
It does do the trick, and, you know, maybe he was just hoping to show that off in case we've got any new viewers, new runners of Rando watching this. Yes, you can get around to West Dark World that way. So it looks like we're likely to see a bumper check from both of our runners here in the very near future. Since we had 2 swords, maybe you can convince yourself that the cape didn't pay out before, but it's just another one of the shield upgrades.
Well, it looks like we won't be seeing the mirror shield today.
And now we have our runners going in different directions yet again. Scruff is over into Skull Woods, has found 3 bombs as item number 1. Also, the Goomba's death animation there is pretty great.
I guess he is technically a Paragoomba since you see wings as he's falling.
Yeah, it could be.
Garrison choosing to go into Thieves Town before going to Skullwoods.
It is at least clearable, although not full clearable, with no hammer in hand.
Neither is Skullwoods, but you can get more checks. I mean, or you could get 0. I've had that pretty frequently lately. All 4 small dungeon items being in the front.
Does not feel good, and it's like the game is just trying to bait you into the back. There are items back here, you know you want them. Don't worry about the fact that you can't access the big chest. Your progression item's not in there. And with the front 4 done, Garrison is out. Scruff is, of course, hot on his heels here and has made these Skullwood checks that Garrison has yet to make.
And that, folks, is what we call timing. Finding the hammer in the chess game.
Personally, I tend to check all 3 of these outside locations before going into Thieves Town just in case of something like that happening.
Yeah, hammer or boots would be something that I would definitely check all of these 3 for before going into Thieves Town.
And Garrison's little game knowledge here is going to stock up on a red potion before heading on in, probably back into Thieves Town here, I would think.
Yeah, when you've only got 6 hearts, even with blue mail, this can be a little tricky sometimes.
Plenty of things here in Thieves Town do still do a full heart of damage on blue mail, and of course all of the traps will, so better safe than sorry.
Yeah, the spikes and the anti-fairies do not play nice sometimes.
The spikes, the anti-fairies, every single thing in the Hellway.
At least they have the cape, so blind will be pretty much a free fight.
Even if you happen to get a little off script, yeah, as you were saying, you can just equip that cape and hug the wall between faces because, well, when you're caped up and you latch onto the wall by holding A, the cape just stops draining magic because the game can only do so many things at once. The general number of that number of things is 1, and holding on to the wall takes precedence.
Well, finding another heart in the attic's gotta make Garrison feel a little bit better. We're up to 7 now.
7 tends to feel pretty nice with the blue mail. He would probably like to be in Scruff's situation. That mountain trip did net Scruff a couple of extra heart containers. But, you know, you have to go on with what you've actually got.
Well, the hammer not paying off, but it does give you peace of mind knowing that you'll be able to full clear.
Peace of mind, and hey, by the same token, you have the hammer, so... Garrison making his way on back up, taking the maiden to the final room where blind will appear, and Scruff is going to be diving into the basement of Thieves Town. I know we had them put up here just a minute ago, but this is probably a good time to remind you while Garrison gets into this blind fight to go ahead and give our runners a follow. They've been putting on a show for your enjoyment. WGarrison and MrScruffNinjaTuna both in this quarterfinal matchup.
You mind if I pop in here as well?
By all means, George, welcome.
While we're here, yeah, we had a of restream control. Hey everyone, want to give a lovely shout out to our commentators as well, Mindem and Just Bleeding. Thank you so much. I know it's always awkward to shout at yourself.
I usually do it. I was just waiting for the crystal catch there on Garrison's side. Of course, we see the map as the final object coming out of Thieves Town.
And while we're here, I also want to give a lovely shout out to Professor Pixie and Samimas, I hope I pronounced your name right, for tracking this match today. Thank you so much for sitting in the background and making sure that anyone who hops into the stream knows the state of the match. Thank you so much.
Tracker's really doing the yeoman's work to make sure that all of this kind of gets off the ground and is watchable in a watchable state, of course. Also, by the same token, George doing the restreaming. We also had VXR doing some setup on the front end. Without the restreamer, this really does not happen, so, you know, whether or not either of those fine people has a channel of their own, go ahead and give them a shout out in chat, because, you know, without the restreamer pulling all of the technical stuff together behind the scenes, you know, all the voices and the people mashing the buttons for those trackers, and, well, even the runners would just be streaming on their own channel if it weren't for the restreamers, so, you know, thank you so much.
Well, everyone makes it possible.
It is a group and a volunteer effort, so one more thing while we have MrScruffNinjaTuna in that crystal catch animation. If you think that you, yes you, might be interested in talking about these games on stream, make this an experience that people can follow. This is a volunteer force, and you are more than welcome to do so. It's a very welcoming part of a very welcoming community. If you think, you know, talking about the game on stream in front of however many people we've got in the audience here today is not for me, but I could, you know, I could push some buttons, make those icons light up on the tracker. We need trackers as well, and I am absolutely sure I have seen a few of them in the past. Restreamers always looking for a few more of those, get a few more matches on the schedule. There are people out there who know how to do that and can train you up if you happen to be one of those technical people.
Okay, if we're on that topic, disease or a restreaming system, the ZeldaSpeedRuns system is a pleasure to work with. I can only recommend, you know, getting in touch with, you know, disease or admins and learning that.
Yeah, I've done some tracking and it was very easy to pick up. It's very user-friendly.
We have Garrison there finding a bottle in Hype Cave, and everything else is a whole bunch of tripe.
Oh, am I not muted yet?
No, you are not.
Apologies about that.
That's alright, we were just getting a little keyboard background there. All well and good, and we do have this note in chat that Garrison with the hammer is going to have Hera available during this Light Mountain play, which MrScruffNinjaTuna did not have at the time. Garrison going to get some Aria here, going to get a couple of heart containers in the 5 chest room of Paradox Cave, and Mr. Scruff is walking back out of Hype Cave. Let's see what this play is. Maybe going to go ahead and finish up Palace of Darkness while in the general vicinity. It is entirely possible to be a commentator of this without knowing a whole lot about the game. There are people who have jumped in to commentate major glitches games, and that's not a part of the community that I'm involved in, but they always say, you know, we only need one of the two commentators to actually know how the glitches are done. Having somebody on the comm who says, okay, why is the runner doing that, or how is the runner doing that, is entirely valuable. And indeed, it looks like Mr. Scruff is going to go ahead and clear up Palace of Darkness.
I can't remember my count, but I do believe that there is an item still on the boss.
I can't imagine that he would be charging back in this quickly, having not found the boots yet, if there was not an item there. As we're going to get Garrison not only with Hera, but also with this Ether Tablet check. You were mentioning earlier, Joss, how having that book was going to enable this check without kind of making it a terrible one-off location. Well, here we are.
And we get Ether.
Is this even randomized? So we'll get some new information from both of our runners here. We'll get the item, or at least we're operating under the assumption that it's an item on Helmasaur King on MrScruffNinjaTuna's side. Well, Garrison is going to show us a couple of items here in Tower of Hera. This is not a lineup that I use for the Herapot, the bomb version, but there are a number of different ways to do that, and that way seems to work very cleanly for Garrison, so, you know, I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. It takes longer to describe the trick than it takes to execute it.
I don't know if I've seen that setup before. I usually do a bomb setup, but not like that.
And while we were marveling over that very fast bomb Herapot from Garrison, MrScruffNinjaTuna has caused the Helmasaur King to explode, and hello, there are the mitts.
We were just starting to run out of stuff, but that opens up a lot of checks.
The interesting part of that is just how much it locks out, so Garrison is unlikely to go too long without finding them. But it gives MrScruffNinjaTuna a lot of options. Well, we have just the bug-catching net on Moldorm. That's a little more unfortunate. It is a Y item. You know, it does show up on the tracker, but not nearly as interesting as those mitts that Mr. Scruff pulled. Now, I expect with those mitts on his hands that we'll see Mr. Scruff not come back in for this basement chest that Garrison's going for.
This could pay off for WGarrison if Scruff skips it, though.
And there are a few interesting things that this could be still. We could have a fire rod, mirror, flute, even Bombos. Bombos may be an outstanding medallion for us yet.
And with the mitts, Bombos would get us into Ice Palace. We could maybe check Pyramid Fairy.
So let's see what the answer is all together now. Just a piece of heart. or unfortunately without the mirror has to take the long, slow walk back out. Scruff, going with the bomb Haripot lineup that I'm more familiar with, also hits it first try with very little waiting. And it looks like we're going to get a Spike Cave play on Garrison's side. I expect that this is something we will not see from MrScruffNinjaTuna. Probably going to see the rest of Dark Mountain first at the very least. We'll see if he makes his way back here, but almost assuredly not going to do it right out of Hera.
Oh, that's a big find.
That is an interesting location for that, and because the mitts are locking away so many things that actually enables, it doesn't really give Garrison any new checks. So he's going to gain some movement advantage, at least temporarily. But as far as finding his actual continued progression into the seed, that's not going to do it.
Well, hopefully he flutes to 5 after freeing the duck.
He can do that. He does still have the front of Skull Woods that he could have a look at, but he is kind of running out of locations here. And here I am admitting that I was wrong. I did not think that Scruff was going to come back in for this, and Scruff is coming back in for this. I am of a mind with Eternal September there in chat who says it's much better for Garrison that he found the flute first versus the mitts. I agree. Depending on what Scruff actually finds on the eastern part of Dark Mountain, he may miss that flute for a little while.
Scruff's setting up for a death warp. I don't know how many pieces of heart he has, but he could get a full refill.
And we have Tabby in chat, who's certainly one of our major MrScruffNinjaTuna partisans here, saying that he usually loops the Spike Cave check-in. So, you know, in hopes of getting a good race, yes, we agree. Hopefully he does loop that in. Has been burned badly by Spike Cave. Well, haven't we all? Garrison going to go ahead and try Skullwoods first, which makes sense. It's 2 items versus just the 1 on Helmasaur King.
And Quake for TR today.
Well, we have the vanilla medallions. One begins to wonder if Ether is going to be the entry to Mire. Garrison has the small key, sees the bombs there in the front of Skullwoods. Mr. Scruff going to get the super money checks out of the way.
And that mirror is a nice find right before Hookshot Cave, so you could go get the magic bag on top of Floating Island.
That does kind of tie the area together nicely, doesn't it? We could theoretically have been looking at a mirrorless seed with Pendant Swamp on the table, but here we are, the mirror has appeared. And yes, he wants that magic bag, and Garrison is into the 5 portal. This is going to be his mitts here in about a minute and a half as he works his way down to Helmsor King.
Oh, and he's gonna go into TR before heading to Spike Cave, hopefully.
Interesting. Going to go ahead and follow the TR rule. If you're by TR and you have all of the things that you need to get into TR, then go into TR.
Well, he still needs the fire rod, but if he could get locked out of that pretty quickly.
It's a quick one check. As long as this isn't a small key with the right read as wrong key layout, this could go all the way to Laser Bridge, but instead it's just the boots.
I don't know, I'd say that's worth it.
Seems valuable.
Oh, and he is not doing Spike Cave.
So valuable, in fact, that he is, going to save and quit off of the mountain.
Well, that helps WGarrison.
That is a very interesting difference. We're going to have Scruff with the boots here for at least a handful of minutes before Garrison could possibly get up there to get them, while Garrison has this flute, and Scruff is now a little out of range of that. And as for the question in chat, Lady Wishy, you know exactly who quoted that TR rule first. Don't tell me you don't. Yes, I am being coy about it. Kektobia.
Oh, I was gonna say it was Andy. I heard he's invented everything about this game.
No, I thought that was Yuzu's. That only tech.
Why not both?
That could be both. And yes, while we were gagging around on comms, Scruff has decided to check the pedestal, and we discover that it is absolutely nothing of value. Like it is in most cases, except when it's not. Okay, so what does Scruff want to do with this mirror? It looks like Northern Dark World checks incoming first, along with the Light World Bonk checks that are kind of along the same line. There are the mitts for Garrison, going to even that crystal counter back up between our runners at 3 apiece. So let's see what Garrison wants to do now that he has those mitts. Does not have that mirror yet, but that flute is going to give him access to some places.
Oh, yep, and I was just going to say this. I would be heading to Misery Mine just to check what that medallion requirement was. If it's not Bombos, we can full clear it.
I'll admit to some mild surprise, saving quitting to the mountain and then not checking Dark Mountain first. You know, you could get the TR info, but, you know, Myra makes a lot of sense as well. And we see it's also Quake, so it's Quake all the way around today. The Ether Medallion was just a bit of a red herring.
And the Butter Sword in Myra's shed today. That will really help with Viddy.
No silvers yet, so Cape and Butter Sword to just kind of chop your way right on through. And I don't think it should be surprising at all that Garrison is going to go ahead and go right on in. Garrison having a bit of a time there in Mire 2, while MrScruffNinjaTuna has begun the Smith chain. We do still have a few outstanding items at this point. Of course, the mirror on Garrison's side, although we know where that is, the flute on Scruff's side, although we know where that is, and the fire rod for both of them.
Yeah, the fire rod I think is the only thing we need till we're in no mode.
You know, technically the boots, but of course, Garrison is going to have to clear TR at some point anyway. He's not going to somehow miss the first chest left-hand side boots in Turtle Rock while he's looking for the keys that let him go into the dungeon further. Smiths pay 10, gain 50. That's a decent deal if you can swing it.
Well, you did rescue one of them. It's the least they could do.
And the magic bat cursing us with just a full heart container. MrScruffNinjaTuna is up to 14, has definitely taken a heart container lead. If we were playing 20 heart container percent, this would be a substantial advantage on Mr. Scruff's side, but alas, this is 7-7 to beat Ganon. And the cutscene torch puzzle with the lamp. Never fun. At least not when you're like me and you can't hold a cardinal direction on your controller to save your life and you just keep sliding off of blocks and pushing the middle one, and yeah, it can be bad.
Oh, I'm so glad that's not just me. That happens all the time.
That's probably why these runners are in the quarterfinals and we are the ones on the mic talking about it.
Yeah, that there could be some correlation to that.
Mr. Scruff, almost throwing away his invisible purple chest, remembers at the last moment that no, my next mirror needs to be at least with this NPC loaded on the screen or we have a problem. And it returns another fetch quest.
Now we just gotta hope he digs up the mushroom.
I was waiting for the mushroom to fall from the sky, but no, it is just 10 sticks today.
Raining arrows would be dangerous. I don't know if I'd want to just stand there and let them hit me.
Yeah, the Goomba probably just says that he's gonna fight in the shade in that case. Mr. Scruff going to go ahead and backtrack to the grove here to check that shovel that he was just so kindly granted, while Garrison is making his way on down towards Vitreous. No fire rod on his side, so no spooky today, unfortunately.
Well, looks like we're gonna see a swamp dive.
From Scruff's perspective, nothing else is really paid out on this mirror, and, well, you know, he's here and Swamp is here, and 6 items are contained within.
If he finds the fire rod, that gives him a pretty good advantage.
The other interesting location for that, from Scruff's perspective, would be something like Checkerboard Cave, which Garrison is not going to be able to check right now with that flute tucked away elsewhere. Buttersword just shredding those little eyeballs, 8 sticks to the main eye, and down goes Vitreous. It's just the map, but here we are. It's another crystal on the board for Garrison, crystal number 4 at 1 hour and 15 minutes. And with that crystal in hand, we have Garrison back up on the mountain again.
Well, he's probably about to get his boots.
Seems likely, at the very least, his mirror. It looks like he also wants to make that play opening the TR portal instead of Super Bunny, so does probably have going in on his mind. Well, thank you, game. MrScruffNinjaTuna has pulled the mushroom out of the southern loop of Swamp Palace. So let's see what we get. A very nice diver down from MrScruffNinjaTuna, a green ruby, and a map for all of that work. And the boots haven't really paid out in anything yet except for the advantage in going just a little faster in making all of these checks. Garrison may be doubling back here in a minute. I believe the mirror was actually in Super Bunny rather than here in Hookshot, so is not going to be able to get that magic powder just yet, while MrScruffNinjaTuna is working on Pendant Argus.
Having some trouble with the ice rod shots, but, you know, it's hard to judge that. It's so much faster with the fire rod.
The two projectiles move at decidedly different speeds, and if you're used to the one, the other one can be a little tricksome sometimes.
WGarrison not going for the magic powder.
Interesting choice. I wonder if he's planning to climb back up after this and grab that and go into Turtle Rock. Already has that flute out though, so I wonder if he has other designs. It looks like the answer to that is yes. The mirror points him to Swamp and Bombo's tablet, I guess? That's interesting. I can see wanting to do these next, but I don't know that I really would have wanted to just run away from the last couple of checks I knew I could make on the mountain first. And in this case, we know as the commentators and the viewers that means he's going to be leaving his boots behind for yet a while longer.
Yes, this is very interesting routing. I'll want to ask him later in the interview.
Scruff again going with this thoroughness play is not done, going to go ahead and make sure that absolutely everything is done in this Swamp Palace before he leaves the area. A big key on left side swamp. Why would there not be? So Garrison has those arrows falling down on his head, and Mr. Scruff going to go ahead and check this big chest. This is the last thing available in Swamp Palace. And it's just some bombs. The answer is not here. Unless, of course, it was on that mushroom picked up on the southern loop.
And it seems that's where Scruff is going right now.
Good use of the whirlpool to get there just as quickly as he can with no flute. Let's see, was the mushroom the answer? Yo, yes it is. That is a fire rod.
And we are now in no mode.
It seems unlikely that Garrison is going to miss that, although it's probably going to be a hot 3 or 4 minutes before he actually gets to that check, while MrScruffNinjaTuna with the fire rod in hand says, okay, that's what I needed to open the door to Ice Palace. Here we go. So there's not a whole lot left that can actually show up in these locations that MrScruffNinjaTuna is not going to be go-moding while still looking for the flute to get over to Meyer. The silvers would be the really obvious outstanding one. And yeah, I guess the fourth bottle is still out there in the wild somewhere.
I mean, maybe red mail.
Possibly, but he's hit 15 hearts already. Oh yes, our wonderful tracker, Professor Pixie, is reminding us that the fourth bottle is sitting on pedestal. Unlikely for MrScruffNinjaTuna to be pulling that at this late date. And Garrison is opting for a diver down on the left side first. Appears to be in the mindset of, I'm only in here until I find the item I'm looking for, so I may as well make the checks just as quick as possible. You can save an extra 10 seconds or so by diver downing left side first if you're just intending to keep checking checks.
Little does you know, he already has it.
That is the danger of fetch quests. You can have exactly what you're looking for in your inventory and just not know. That was a very clean room there, both above this Ice J room from Mr. Scruff. I never get through that quickly and with that little damage taken. It really is Frozen Letter Palace. You can make all sorts of things. There's an H and a U, the T, of course, that everybody likes to talk about. This one's an O. This one, I guess, is a W? Maybe that's Garrison's room.
Oh, I thought it was a very, like, an I with a serif font.
Oh, a very stylized I, sure. That would work too.
Here's the N.
It would be interesting to see if Garrison wants to fake powder with that mushroom before turning the mushroom in, knowing that he saw the powder up on Floating Island on Death Mountain and decided not to grab it at the time. Also picking up that third bottle with another red potion there, a little more health safety to be going on with, while MrScruffNinjaTuna has put paid to Gold Stare. That's good for 4 crystals on his side, evening that crystal count back up.
I believe Scruff is going to check Pyramid Fairy now.
Well, from his point of view, you know, that fire rod just gave him access to Ice Palace. He's in the area now, and it's really dangerous if the flute's there, because when is he going to be closer after this point? On a save and quit?
Yeah, go kill Moth and then do a save and quit, maybe?
Even in that case, probably hoping that the flute would turn up here instead and he could activate it while he was on his way to go kill Moth anyway. We know that it's not going to be the case, but the rest of Mr. Scruff's route looks really good if the flute was in Pyramid Fairy today.
And at least he gets to do the fast turn-in with the bomb, since he's killed Aga 1.
One of the advantages of an Agaseed, and there is Garrison fluting right over to 2, going to turn that mushroom in. Rewarded with the Fire Rod, and barring a Boots lock in GT, which is not really going to be a problem since the boots were in the front left-hand chest of Turtle Rock, that's go mode for Garrison at 1 hour and 28 minutes.
Well, Scruff did find red mail on the Pyramid Fairy.
That may be entirely too much safety, of course. That's 15 hearts red mail. Unlikely to be killed by anything at this point. You can take a handful of pig hugs and still not be dead on that hair count. Garrison choosing Ice first. We'll see how much of this he wants to go mode without the boots on his feet. May want to make an extra check or two, but I can't imagine that he's really going to go all that far out of his way in this case. Especially with that unfortunate early death very late on that Aga Tower climb, still has to be thinking, you know, at least in the back of his mind, where am I going to make up the time that I lost with that very unfortunate and unforced error?
Oh, and it looks like he's going to be doing Ice Palace in Go mode, so yeah, he is not going to be doing too many extra checks.
To answer the question, where were the boots? The boots are in the front left chest of TR. While MrScruffNinjaTuna was still looking for the fire rod, dipped in there and checked really quick and pulled them out. Garrison decided to opt out of that check while he was on Dark Mountain. Clean icebreaker there, and Garrison does not even have time for icebreaker chest, so given the way keys need to work in TR, I can't imagine that he's going to miss the boots, but if there's any situation in which you might miss those, if he goes to fire lock side first and finds big key, small key, maybe? If he's going to go mode this hard, yeah, I mean, he touches the chest in ICU room and says, nope, I got no time. No time at all.
We would just have to, well, he would just have to hope for not having the 4% boots then.
He's also going to have to hope that the staircase is actually going to allow him down without the boots on your feet. Getting into that one can be a little spicy sometimes. Speaking of spicy, that is the crystal off of Mothula and the Bombos medallion for MrScruffNinjaTuna. That is 5 crystals in hand now for Mr. Scruff, taking a 5-4 crystals lead, but Garrison, hot on his heels, is going to be dropping into Cold Stare momentarily.
And Scruff has not been to Meyer yet, but at least he knows he can get in.
That is one of those worries right off the mind. Am I missing the Bombos medallion still? No, no you're not. Whatever it is, you're going in.
Oh, and the falling ice not being kind to WGarrison, so we get a Cold Stare party on his end.
Cold Stare party can be a dangerous party at times, but, you know, he has managed to put paid to it and ties that crystal count right back up at 5. And here is MrScruffNinjaTuna making the play that he needs to make. This is going to result in his flute. Gotta go loot the flute.
I wonder what the first 2 words out of his mouth after finding that flute was.
I don't know, at one point in history they were probably unprintable. So he's going to manage to mirror into the light world first before save and quitting. If you've killed Aga 1 and you have the mirror in inventory, if you save and quit, you go on top of the pyramid, which is definitely not where he wanted to be. Sanctuary being the location of choice to go turn this flute on and get back to the business of clearing dungeons. But I would say we well and truly have a race here, because MrScruffNinjaTuna does have those boots, and Garrison's not going to get those until he goes into TR. And, well, I mean, he's going to be a little ahead with this Moth kill versus getting to Vitreous, but it's close enough that we've still got a race.
Oh yeah, I'd say we're definitely still within GT route. And Tabby pointing out in chat that Scruff does have Spooky available to him.
Now, here's the question: do we remember where the big key was in Meyer? I feel like it was in the peg-locked chest on the right-hand side. This Moth is not cooperating terribly well with Garrison, getting a lot of hits into the spikes that do not count for anything.
He finally manages to take the Moth down.
Rewarded with that Bombos medallion and crystal number 6, it's time for Garrison to get back up onto the mountain. while MrScruffNinjaTuna is through Mire 2, going to start looking for this big key. We have a small key there on the bridge. The tracker used here is part of ZSR's own personal package. You would probably need to ask our restreamer, if our restreamer is still hiding in chat there, if they happen to know the answer to that question. Yeah, it's not a problem. We just had a question about the technical side of things that I am ill-equipped to answer, unfortunately, and I was hoping that maybe you would have the answer our chat member was seeking. Scruff trying to clip through that rail there, gives it 4 or 5 goes and decides, you know what, I'm wasting more time than just dashing on around is going to take, so let's get back to the actual clearing of the dungeon, shall we? And here's Garrison into Turtle Rock at 136.18.
Scruff has picked up his big key and is now headed on his way directly back to Vitreous.
Knows that about the only remaining outstanding thing he could possibly find to make life better would be silvers, and does not have the time for it anymore. Especially with how late the flute came into inventory, has to be thinking, I need to make up time now. Goes with an ice rod shot there to preserve the Spooky's height variable.
You will see boots in just a second.
Garrison is going to find those boots in 3, 2, 1, now.
And Butter was in Mire Shed, which Scruff will probably not see.
Garrison is getting a little bullied here early in TR, already down to 5.5 hearts, and does not have that red mail that MrScruffNinjaTuna found. The Chain Chomp's not going to cooperate in any way, shape, or form.
Do they ever?
Of course not. It's not in their nature. That's a perfectly acceptable place for a big key, though. One minor thing of note is that Garrison did not choose to get the powder earlier, and has not chosen to get it before going into TR, so it's one of those safeties that he's not going to have available.
Since he's turned in the mushroom, he will not be able to fake powder. Having a little trouble with that pokey.
Sometimes the pokey just decides to run away a little bit, and that's fine, particularly when you're trying to steal the key. You don't necessarily want to catch it right next to the door, because your next move may be to muscle memory over to the right and spend it. I'm not claiming that any particular runner may have done that in the past, but, you know.
My favorite is getting hit by a fireball from the Medusa and then being forced to spend it.
That does not feel good. And a generous enough key layout in Turtle Rock is going to keep Garrison off of Laser Bridge. It's going to keep Scruff off of Laser Bridge as well, of course. But it looks like Scruff is going to be about 4 minutes in arrears getting into the front of TR here.
Comment in chat, Scruff skipping Spike Cave and not getting the flute until pretty late in the game is really what sets these two apart.
Did manage to claw back into that a little bit with having boots for an extra 20-ish minutes. They tend at a runner of this caliber's level to be worth probably about 1 minute per 10 that you have them. But the flute advantage on Garrison's side, Drew, has proved to be fairly substantial here. Speaking of substantial, Garrison is taking a substantial number of hits from Trinex and is down to 4 hearts. And that is crystal number 7 as a catch for Garrison. That is all 7 crystals in hand, which means that it is indeed that time for Garrison to go charging over to Ganon's tower just as fast as he can and start rummaging around through Ganon's basement. Why would he do that, you might ask?
Oh, and I'm seeing a lot of numbers pop up in chat.
And because there are 22 possible locations in the basement of that tower where the big key might be hidden from Garrison today, he's going to have to find that to climb the tower. You have to climb the tower and have an argument with a wizard for the 2nd time this seed. Then, without doing that, you don't get to face off against the big pig. And it is a race after all, and the victory condition is 7-7, defeat Ganon. Well, we have the 7 and the 7 portion. The defeat Ganon is yet outstanding.
Well, we found our silver arrows on the torch. Sorry, Bob.
That's an adorable place for silvers, isn't it?
It does make me wonder what the melting point of silver is.
It's a good question. And then on into the Stalfos room where Garrison finds big key, small key, and the path up the tower is wide open. Working his way through Mimics 1 and 2, while Mr. Scruff is definitely onto the back half of Turtle Rock here, just going to turn left and head directly for the boss. Nothing so important on Laser Bridge that he can't be entertained to go check it at this late date. As Garrison's going to move on into the gauntlet, has that fire rod at the ready. We're probably going to see a fairly liberal usage of that. Still, I believe, has 1 blue potion in the bank, so has plenty of magic to work with.
Those Stalfos playing very nice today.
Every once in a while they cooperate. I'm pretty sure that it's just an act to make you think, oh, this can't be that bad, can it? And then for the next 10 runs, of course it is.
Because why wouldn't it?
And that is Trinex down for MrScruffNinjaTuna. Has that 7th crystal in hand at 1 hour and 44 minutes and a half. Is going to be chasing along behind Garrison into the tower here, but that not only is he going to need to execute at the top of his game, he's going to need Garrison to make a mistake at this point. Also, speaking of those just-in-time silvers, that was a 1-cycle Land Mola 2 with the 3 silver sticks, 1 for each worm. Down they go. Some of the more satisfying rooms in the game there, those 2 Wizrobe rooms when you have the Cane of Samaria. Lay a block down and watch Wizrobes disappear. It's like magic.
Oh, and Scruff also choosing to go left first.
Not going to lose any time to his opponent here, going to find those silver arrows, going to find big key, small key in the very near future. Garrison has safely dodged Jingle Glitch, which is one of the things that could have really tightened this race back up. It's possible when you go up the stairs there into the second torch puzzle, if you do that on the exact same frame that the chime goes off, you can despawn the entire tower and you have to clear out and start over.
Yeah, that's a rite of passage. Everyone does it once.
There were a couple of main tournament runners who did that on restreams in the main tournament. It does happen to the best of us. But Garrison's gonna dash on through that room of conveyors and death, going to ignore this nice blue carpet that's been laid out for him, and going to have another argument with a wizard.
The ergonometry just not working so far.
It may be a little nerves on both sides. MrScruffNinjaTuna also got knocked off of the middle of the Ganon Ball run there. When you're nearing 1 hour and 50 minutes and your opponent has not done yet, and you know you've made a mistake and gotten an item really late or taken an unfortunate death that cost you a number of minutes worth of time, both of these runners have to be thinking, my opponent's going to done at any second. I know they didn't make my mistake, but something had to have gone wrong for them. I can still win this, but I could lose this at any second.
WGarrison does have the sword advantage. With Butter Sword, this should go pretty fast.
The 1-in-1 cycle for the first 2 phases with Butter Sword is reasonably free, particularly once you're a runner of the caliber to make the quarterfinals in this tournament. Taking multiple hugs from the bats is not contraindicated, shall we say. But he's gonna dive right back in. I see you there, Wall Kicks. Don't you put that evil on me. He walked into that bat all by himself. Going to employ the hook shot again, this time around, to make sure that does not happen a second time, and is safely into phase 3. I agree, Wallkicks. There's not a but there, there's an and. I said that, and he walked into them anyway. But here, WGarrison is just one more slash. There it is. Into the end of Phase 3, Ganon going to announce that silvers are in fact his one true weakness.
WGarrison missing the torch glitch, but with silvers, that's not as big a deal.
Silvers in that half magic, it's not a huge cause for concern, just needs to stick a couple of more silver sticks into this pig and has plenty of time to do it. And there it is. Garrison is going to stand here for just a minute with his sword raised high in the victory pose while the fanfare plays, and as soon as this bridge appears and he crosses it, is going to finish this race, so get your GGs in chat. WGarrison has finished with a race time GG time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 23 seconds. And finishes just as MrScruffNinjaTuna has caused the wizard to fall to the ground and the pig to appear.
Hello, GG.
We are joined in the booth by the victor of Game 1 of this quarterfinal matchup, WGarrison. Good game to you.
Thank you. I think the sheer terror that was seen in my Ganon fight summarizes how I felt the entire race. The moment I died to the guard in the top of Aga Tower, I was just like, oh my god, I'm not making it out of this one.
That was a dangerous point of the match for sure, and we'll have Scruff in here in just a moment as well, I think. But he had trials and tribulations of his own.
That wasn't a simple seed. Anytime you get an Aga drag you all around the place seed, especially without boots for so long, it just feels like a grind.
Yeah, that was really fun.
We are also joined here in the booth by MrScruffNinjaTuna. Good game to you as well.
GG.
Hey, Scruff GG.
Oh, that was nerve-wracking.
My hands were absolutely uncontrollable when I was fighting Ganon.
Oh, goodness.
Whew, man.
Yeah, I was expecting something close. I typically don't watch race time until I get done with the Aga fight, but as soon as I entered GT and got the silvers and the big key, I was like, okay, let's see where Garrison's at, and still no finish. I'm like, oh, this could be close.
That was a very slick triple there, by the way. We just saw from the 10-minute delay of your restream, Mr. Scruff, the finish on Ganon there with your sword raised in the air.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's only a second overall, but 152.44, nothing to sneeze at, just a couple of minutes apart.
It was a good run. Honestly, the one thing that I'm probably going to be yelled at the most within my group of friends here is that I decided to skip Spike Cave yet again.
I believe Tabby Cat was talking about that in chat. You might hear from her.
I'm never gonna hear the end of it. I honestly won't.
There were certainly some comments made in the chat during the race. If you have a watch back of the restream later, I'm sure you'll notice them.
So I'm guessing you managed to get Mitt before Flute, and I'm guessing you still skipped Spike Cave before you went back up the mountain, or was the mountain one of the last things you did?
I skipped it, and it was an odd decision. Basically, my whole mindset when I went back up the mountain was go ahead and do Hera, do Spike Cave, save and quit, or just try not to die, then mirror. Oh no, I didn't have the mirror at the time. Yeah, save and quit, go back across, do the rest of the dark stuff, and see if I can actually get anything good in Turtle Rock. When I found the mirror and Super Bunny Cave, that was the deciding factor to not do Spiral right then and there. I was like, okay, I got mirror, and then after TR I found the boots. It's like, yeah, definitely skipping Spike Cave. I've got so much more open now. The chances of something good being there are astronomically low. And yet I was wrong.
So
Low, but not zero.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say low, but not zero.
Yep, never zero. Never.
Yeah, when I went up the mountain to do Hera without mitts, and I decided that I was going to do Spike Cave first, so I absolutely wouldn't forget it, because I've been forgetting to finish off with Spike Cave recently, and that I was going to hit Spiral Cave when I went back up the mountain with mitts. I was just going to treat Spiral Cave like Dark Death Mountain.
And see, the funny thing is, I've been burned by skipping Spiral before. I ended up losing, I think it was last year, I ended up losing the chance to get into the other league by skipping Spiral Cave, which had the fire rod. So it's like one of those things, like, alright, which one do I always end up going for first, you know?
It's a really tough decision, and I mean, I just decided that I was going to go for the uncommon one and make sure that I didn't forget it. I almost never skip Spiral Cave, but this time it was just like, this is the time to skip Spiral Cave. And to be fair, when it came to mitts, I got down to only Helmasaur and Spiral Cave left. Like, I got the flute and I couldn't even use it. I mean, it got me over to Helma faster, but it didn't open anything.
That was opposite for me then. As soon as I got that hammer over in the Thieves Town area, the Village Valcast, I was thinking, alright, who wants to bet that there's something good on Helmasaur, since there was only one item left in there? And then it was the mitts, and I just was like, poof, this is an insane play. Because, I mean, when you do an Agassiz like this, and you get something like the hook shot, and of course the Quake out there, but that's for later. When you get the hook shot, that's your access to everything else. So it's like, I can't finish pod, so let's skedaddle. You don't think about going back until the very end to when you're clearing up. It's like, it's one item, what could it possibly be? But yeah, another case of, always rando being rando.
I did some kind of funny things too. Like, I decided I wanted to cut a corner, and without hammer, I was just going to jump into Thieves Town, see what the front of Thieves Town looked like, and had 3 items in the back. I'm like, alright, I'll get a Death Warp out and just continue down the Hype Cave. The very next item was hammer. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Never mind, going right back.
Tucked my tail in and just walked right back into Thieves Town.
Yeah, that's why I always check the Village Valcast first before going into there. When I found that hammer, I was thinking, I wonder if Garrison went to Thieves Town with the hammer. And then when I noticed, okay, there's going to be an item in the big chest, let's hope it's good. Nah, it's just arrows.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking to cut corners because the final guard in Aga Tower killed me.
Oof.
Yeah. And it was one of those, like, so much adrenaline, like some of the normal things that you pay attention to, I just was so tunnel visioned I couldn't see them. And I walked into that last room, I'm like, okay, I got my bow out, I'm just gonna arrow these guys so I don't have to worry about it. Shot my first shot, and there was no more arrows. And I was just rattled. And I had, like, intentionally skipped all of the pots in the big pot ring room.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, I just felt super behind from that point, and I was like, I'm willing to cut corners and gamble. And you find hammer in the very next chest, you're like, I gotta go back in.
Right. Yeah, at that point, just go right back in there immediately. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, that's kind of the way I felt with the green pendant play, because like with me, whenever I find sword, cape, lamp, and then either flips, glove, or the hookshot is some type of combination thereof, it's like, this is probably an Agassiz. But I went ahead and just gambled that there would be something else over there in case, it wasn't. I found the Ice Rod super early, and I was like, hey, that's awesome! I got a second sword too! That's even better! But then figuring, hey, my opponent's also probably going to do the same thing, so it wasn't much of a gamble.
I did get the question. I can't remember for the life of me. Where was the sword that Scruff missed?
Myers Shed.
Oh, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because by the time I got the fluid, I was in go mode. I had tempered, and I wasn't going to waste time searching for anything else. Then lo and behold, Bob had silvers. Funniest tower ever.
I picked up 3 chests. Bob's torch for arrows, then the big key out of DM room, and then the small key right after. It was like, okay, that's easy.
That's awesome.
The Hope Room skip.
Yep.
Easy game, right? Just skip Hope Room.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to say, once again, that was a great game. Looking forward to Game 2, which is going to be on Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, excuse me. And
for the Europeans out there, that is 1 a.m. on Thursday. So it's starting a little bit late for the Europeans, but stay up. So just Game 2.
And I'm going to try and push for that Game 3, just to make it entertaining.
Please.
I love
to
it.
Game 3 brings out all the restreamers. You know you want one.
Heck yeah.
Alright, so, those things being said, Garrison, any final thoughts?
There's no thoughts going on at all. I'm still completely scrambled. This is the furthest I've been in any kind of significant tournament, and I'm still just trying to get over the nerves, even now that it's been 15 minutes since the seed has been finished.
Yep.
But I'm glad that Scruff kept it close. It just reminds me that I have to continue to practice, just even for the next game.
Yep. Keep pushing yourself. Keep getting better.
It is the quarterfinals. There are no easy outs left. Mr. Scruff, how about yourself? Final thoughts on this game 1?
Don't skip Spike Cave. Ever. Just do it.
That seems like a really reasonable lesson learned to me. Alright. Joss, how about yourself? You've been a wonderful co-com for me this evening.
I just want to say thank you to our runners, to the trackers, and to you, Mindim. This is my first time doing comms, and I was a little nervous, so thanks for helping me.
It does get easier as you go on. I promise my first time on comms was an absolute train wreck. So, thankfully I don't think that actually survived into YouTube VOD form anywhere, so nobody can go back and call me on that one. But here we are.
Final Fantasy.
Frantically searches for the YouTube bot archives. No, I'm joking.
No, you're welcome to. I'm sure it wasn't as bad as I'm making it out to be, but in any case, this was a very entertaining Game 1. This best of 3 series is decidedly not over. Game 2 will be coming your way that Wednesday night or Thursday very early morning if you are of the continental mindset. But I am MindDM. My co-com today has been Joss Bleeden, our tracker, Professor Pixie. Of course, MrScruffNinjaTuna and WGarrison, thank you so much for agreeing to be restreamed, and I am going to turn this back over to our restreamer, George, for a few final words from ZSR.
Alright, thank you again so much for everyone making this possible again. Thank you to WGarrison and MrScruffNinjaTuna for this race. Also, again, you two have absolutely killed it on the comms. It was amazing to watch you two both talk us through the seat. Thank you again so much. And also, as mentioned, to our trackers, Professor Pixie and SamMS, for making sure that anyone who hops into this stream can know the current state of the match. Tracking work is very much underappreciated here, and that's why we always give them a big, lovely shout out. I do want to shout out here quickly that I cannot announce what it is yet, but on Saturday at 1 a.m. Central European Summer Time, that is 7 a.m. Eastern, there's something really special happening on ZeldaSpeedRuns. So mark your calendars. I can't tell you what yet. I've not been given the go on that yet, but it's very, very special. Tune in. I promise you it'll be worth your time. Aside from that, if needed, there's also a game 3 scheduled for... Oh no, sorry, that's a different tourney. Sorry, misread the line. Ignore what I said. But yeah, if you like your randomizer content, we've got Wind Waker Randomizer coming up tomorrow on Tuesday. We've got 2 matches scheduled. We've got a Winners Bracket Quarterfinals match with Gnufio versus Original Elia. That's game 1. And we've got a Challenge Cup match in that tournament with Ryberg versus Advocate. So, I feel like, randomizers across the board here at Zelda, then that might be something you want to watch. So, first match is at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Tuesday, and second match is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. But aside from that, I think we'll send it over to Raid, and I'm gonna pass it right back to the comms for the final words of the stream. It's all yours. Let's close this out.
With all of that being said, we appreciate the programming notes, look forward to more rando content here, both Challenge Cup and otherwise. For our restreamer George, for our tracker Professor Pixie, for the runners WGarrison and MrScruffNinjaTuna, for my co-commentator, Joss Bleeden. I am MyNDM, and I hope that each and every one of you has a wonderful evening. Have a good night, everybody.